Hey, welcome to the Death of a Dream podcast with your host, Hanna Nuss. It's a great day. It's always a great day. Today, specifically, is just better than most. I don't know. My great thing for today has really been solidifying my approach to this upcoming holiday season. And I had been toying with this idea because it's kind of like, well, what if you can't get what you need? And I've been seeing everywhere, like support local businesses, make sure that you're doing that. And in my mind, I'm just like, well, that's hard. What if I can't find what I need? And today, I officially decided that shopping local is happening. That's the only option. I've seen as a business owner how hard it is to see people shop, buy products, do things with major retailers when you have the same thing, right? And, I think or like pick a speaker from, Texas when you're sitting right here and you could probably do whatever they need done for half the amount of money, right? And so I think for me to stay true to what I believe in, I officially decided that we will be shopping small for this upcoming season. And this delights me. I'm really excited to see actual retailers. I realize that I have to start moving in that direction sooner rather than later, just considering where the world is going. But I think it's really important. If nobody's talked about this before, to you, around you, it hits different. Like you don't fully understand it unless you understand how big of a difference that one decision makes to that person. And it doesn't make that big of a difference to, say, an Amazon or a Target or a Walmart. It just doesn't. And I fully understand that it doesn't have to all be small, but I think the more of us that can make that decision, that can support that local economy, that can believe and infuse movement into our local entrepreneurs, it's going to make a huge difference, even if just 20% of us do it, right? And so this morning I'm like reviewing my list of gifts that we would have to buy, and it's feasible. It's so feasible. And I think I'm going to get the most beautiful gifts because of this decision. So it's happening. We are shopping small this holiday season. I am really excited for the Main Street strolls here in Iowa. We have a lot of beautiful main streets that exist in small towns, and they just have the most beautiful, amazing things. And I'm going to do my part to support local entrepreneurs as much as humanly possible for me and my family this season, and every season. There's really no reason not to. As I sat down and just ran over the possibility of it, I was just like, why haven't we been doing this all along? So that's me. That's what's going to happen, right? And there are ways that you can do that outside of just strolling down a main street. A lot of small businesses are doing Facebook Lives. A lot of small businesses are getting a part of different Facebook communities and groups. And so I just encourage you to join those, to support people. You may be paying a little bit more, you may be paying a little bit less, but at the end of the day, you'll be supporting someone who sees that support. Like, I see every dollar that feeds back into my small upstart business, every single dollar. And so I now understand how important local support is in these businesses' abilities to keep thriving, to stay open, to be available, right? For more than just like a stroll with your girlfriends. Like, decide that all of your shower gifts are going to come from here. All of your birthday gifts are going to be from local vendors. Like, you can make that decision for you. I'm not saying strike down Amazon and rise up and never again, but even if you make a decision to buy one gift from a small business, I promise you, that small business owner, it makes a huge difference. I only promise that because I see how much of a big difference it makes. Like, me getting to tell my husband and my family that someone decided to book me, someone decided to use me for X, Y, and Z, and now you get to do gymnastic classes, like, that's a big deal. And those are the kinds of things that happen as a result of your support. So, people, even if it's just one thing, try to support small local businesses, even if it's just buying lotion from, your Mary Kay sales rep instead of Bath and Body Works. Like, that's supporting a local business vendor. That's supporting someone who, seriously, it makes a huge difference in what their life looks like. So that's my great thing. We are shopping small. I encourage everyone to shop small as much as they possibly can. It's not always going to be feasible. I totally understand that. But if we can all take steps, even if it's just one, even if you just buy one gift that way this year, you're going to make a difference in an entrepreneur's life. And that is a big deal. That's a double serve purpose. Not only are you going to get something so cool, so unique, so beautiful, so wonderful, so amazing, you're also going to be supporting your local economy. You're going to be supporting an entrepreneur. Big stuff. Big reason to shop. So go out, make a difference, do the thing, join the group, shop. Okay. That's my great thing. Go ahead and take time to recognize yourself for your great thing. It's just imperative. Okay. So today we're talking about the case for change. And I think the biggest thing here is, all the time people talk to me, okay, once in a while, okay, probably once a month, maybe, people will ask me, like, why would someone listen to your podcast? Why would someone join this Death of a Dream journey? What does that look like? And I think for me, it's been kind of hard to wrap my head fully around because it's evolving every second of every day, right? Like, it's one part personal journal, the other part personal victory and overcoming your foes, the other part like this reason to change your life. And so we're going to hit on that today because I think it's so important, and for me, as we're kind of like graveling back from the complete loss of identity, coming back into what and how to navigate this new life. And a little part of me really has just been kind of waiting out kiddos and this changing environment that we're living in and this rapidly changing world where, like, one day everybody's in school and then we're off for an entire month because, COVID. And so a piece of me has just been here to help weather that storm, because honestly, our life as it existed six months, 5 months ago, 4 months ago, would not have been pretty in our current situation. It just wouldn't have ended well. And so for me, we're kind of waiting that out. But as we're waiting out the madness that exists, right, we can continue to work and move. And so for me, it's now like, okay, we had such a beautiful case for change early on. The start of this podcast really was this idea to figure out like why I didn't dream bigger, to figure out where my dream died in the first place and why I didn't think that I was enough. And that really was my case for change. Like, do we want to keep living this life where you keep ending up unsatisfied, or do we want to set something that's actually going to challenge you? Do you actually want to decide what your life looks like, or do you want to continue falling victim to whatever anyone has planned for you? And that really was my case for change. That's literally the kind of mission behind my company, behind my work, is like living life on your terms, whether you're starting a business, whether you're trying to turn around the culture of your business, whether you're trying to just turn around your own life, that living life on your terms, that was my case for change. None of these terms were according to me. I really was just floating and bouncing and waiting for something to just grab onto me. I really didn't even care what it was. I just wanted anyone to believe in me, to believe that I had value. Because the funny thing about value is, if you don't actually value yourself, no one's value will matter. Yeah. So I had to really just sit back and decide this, that I wanted to control my life, that it was important, no, that it was vital that I started having a say, period. And as I help people with those missions, as I help people find and figure this out, this is probably the most important part, is that you have a reason, right? You have a why behind doing this work. Because if you don't, you're just listening to this podcast for whatever reason, right? And you're kind of just going through the motions and you're working just to work and to try to figure it out. Like, really, what is your why? What is it? What is your case for change? My case for change was that I started deciding my life, because everyone else making decisions for me left me burnt out, left me unsatisfied, left me feeling like there was a bigger meaning for my life, but never understanding what it was, because I wasn't seeking what it was, right? I was just seeking approval, acceptance, and I don't know, some semblance of success, but I wasn't deciding what success was, other people were. And so, since that's what I was chasing, I always felt exhausted, misled, out of alignment, and honestly, mad. Because I was living in a world that people were successful, and if I was being true to myself that day, I knew that I wasn't, right? And I tried to fill that space. I did. I really tried to fill it with all the things that are supposed to matter. And then I got all those things. And then I changed my list of what those things were. I made them more expensive. I made them more important, more inclusive, more flashy, more expensive, all the things. And then I just started to realize that that's never going to serve me in a meaningful way. Right? That's not important to me. And so really, what mattered? What mattered to me? And my dreams mattered to me. And so for me, my case for change was living life on my terms. And the biggest thing that I did was establish actual dreams, like actual goals for my life, not just buy a new car, buy a new house, right? Not just those material things. And once you get beyond that, once you let go of that tie, all of a sudden, actually doing something with your life becomes super important, right? Once materials don't matter, all of a sudden your legacy does, the things that you're about does, the type of human you present yourself as in this world becomes super important, because all of a sudden you realize that the designer shirt or pants or bag or car or whatever doesn't make up your worth. And so your worth really becomes who you are as a person. And that means you have to do a lot of self-work. You really have to figure out what means something to you, what's going to guide you to that place that you're looking to go. What do your terms of life look like? And then never give in. Oh, I said it. I didn't want to, but I did. Like, we can't give up. We can't. My terms for my life look way different than most people's. Probably. I don't know. Right? But that's just it. They're my terms. And my terms tell me that I want very specific things. I have very specific goals. I want to be able to go after them. I want to be able to move in that direction. And I have. Right? And I have created this new world for myself. I have created new opportunities for myself according to this. But the only thing that ever got me moving in that direction, and that's what this podcast is about, is like, first off, the podcast, no question, just serves as a beacon to keep you going on whatever it is your journey is. Like, just keep your mind exploring, right? Keep pushing you towards bigger and better and more, and just keep your mindset focused on movement, right? And not every day is going to be like, rah, 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 let's get up, let's go, move, you got this, suck it up, move, right? Because some days are just hard. But this podcast really just serves as a focal point for when you're ready to move, right? Like, I see it. People, they come and they go, and they'll be like in this season of, I want to do it. I want to change. I want to live life on my terms. I am all in. Let's go. And they'll listen, right? Consecutively, they'll listen every day. They'll move, and then they'll move into this season that just doesn't align with that anymore, right? But this is always going to be here for you no matter what, because I get it. I know we go through seasons where we can't listen to Hanna anymore because she just keeps telling me things that I know I need to hear, but I'm not ready to hear right now. And so we're taking a break from you, but we'll still be here. I promise you. And so That's the one point. The other point of existence for this podcast, for this work, really is for your case for change, right? Help you figure out whatever it is that's going to push you past this moment. So if someone started listening to this, they probably had this realization that they're either very stuck in their life, not knowing where to go, what to do next, where they even want to end up, or they just want more. They know that they're worth more. They know that there's more that they're here to do on this earth, and they want to move in that direction, right? They don't even have to know what it's going to look like. They just want someone to walk that journey with. That's what this is. Like, let's walk that journey together. Let's move forward. And no matter what, you don't have to do it alone. This is here 5 days a week for you. Honestly, when we have bonus episodes up, it's 6 days a week that you could have guidance and movement, and most of the topics and content revolve around this idea of finding your identity, of finding freedom, of establishing, what life is going to look like on your terms, figuring that out, and then really positioning yourself on your case for change, right? Mine really revolved around this idea that I was miserable and optimistically miserable. So I was funny about it, which people appreciated, which I appreciated. It's nice to be the funny girl. I'm not as funny as I used to be, but most of my funniness revolved around breaking people down. And so, it's not worth being funny anymore if that's how I have to do it. And so, to me, I didn't want to be miserable forever. I didn't want to feel this unsatisfied. I didn't want to live the entirety of my life with one toe in the water, but always running to the next thing, because that's the next thing was going to satisfy me more. The next thing was going to get me where I was supposed to go. The next thing, it was always just a constant push and struggle and movement towards the next thing that was going to satisfy me, the next job, the next amount of money, the next salary, the next thing. So much so that I never lived at all in the present tense. And so my case for change was, one, actually being somewhere, and two, not being miserable. Period. And I think once I started to recognize and acknowledge and be accountable for the fact that I was miserable, I could start to hear myself showing up as that. It wasn't an overnight fix where I was like, oh, stop being miserable. Okay, done. Not saying mean things anymore, not doing mean jokes, not laughing at other people's expense. Done, right? Really, a good majority of that was just me accepting that I was miserable and that I said a lot of hurtful things, right? I feel terrible on the fact that I would say on at least a weekly basis, if not more, I would say something like, well, I'm just going to drive off a bridge, or I'm just going to kill myself, right? I would say that more than I even care to think about. And now I understand why that's so concerning, right? And it was just a funny turn of phrase, oh, ha, 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 I'm just going to drive off this bridge. But honestly, in the depths of my existence, I don't know that I wasn't at least 10% serious. And that's scary, now looking back. But I think bottom line is you have to be willing to accept that you're a human, that we mess up, that we get into these deep, dark places, and that we don't have to stay there, right? And so this is the importance of establishing this case for change. Like, why do you want to change your life? Because I can tell you right now, it's going to be easier to stay where you are, right? Change comes with this beautiful destruction of being and rebuilding. And it's never fun, right? We got to disconnect all the wiring. We have to, I don't know, you probably have to turn off the water and the pipes. And there's probably just a lot of stuff that goes into tearing down a house or a building or whatever, right? It's not easy. But what is beautiful is being able to rebuild with intention, being able to give yourself time and love and acceptance of your own humanity. Like, you're a human being, and we don't get here unscathed, right? There's so much that happens to us along the route that puts us wherever we are. And there's nothing wrong with whatever your route was to where you are right now, right? That's a beautiful part of your story. I just want to make sure that you know why you want to do this, right? And for me, it was just like, we don't want to live in misery. We don't want to say those things anymore. No, right? We don't want to be the person who hurts people. We don't want to be the person who has no dreams, has no ambitions, has no real focal point forward. We don't want to be that anymore. And once you present that to yourself, you can start to see how you're showing up as that person. And you don't just have to stop being that person today. Like, oh, I listened to Hannah's podcast and Case for Change, and I don't want to be sad anymore. So I'm just not going to be sad, right? It's a slow process. I've been working on this every day for a year and a half, if not more, actually more, but documented every day for a year and a half. And I still don't have it all figured out. I still hear myself get triggered. I still feel myself go into those negative spaces once in a while. It's definitely a lot less, but really the biggest thing is finding the accountability in who you are and who you want to become, right? And who you want to become really is your case for change. Like, I don't want to be this miserable, sad, spiteful, angry, sarcastic person anymore. I don't want to go back to her. And I know that it's not going to be overnight. And I know that it's going to be a slow growth and process into this new beautiful butterfly that just came out of her kooky little cocoon. And she's like, hello, I have wings. I am no longer. Right? And it's going to take time. And it's going to look ugly before it looks beautiful. But the biggest thing that you can do is really sit, create that case. Why would you do this anyways? It definitely is going to be harder. It definitely is going to take a lot more work, a lot more sacrifice, a lot less cool, shiny things. But on the other side, what do you want to produce? What are you saving yourself from? What is the need? What is the case to make this change? Why? Why even be a better person? Why even have dreams? Why even move forward in a direction when everyone else is fine with the status quo? That's for you to decide. What do you want to do? What are you saving yourself from? What is your own individual case for change? Everyone's is different, but that can be your focal point. What do you never want to go back to? As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world.